Hello, everyone. On our podcast show this week with Winston and Stephen, Samsung unpacks all the things, all of their Galaxy products for the start of 2023. And it'll allow us to see whether or not those leaks were indeed confirmed today, because the event is a 1 hour escapade through all of the stuff that they've been working on for the last little while. Now, mind you, though, this is not actually their first announcement of the year. They did announce some things at CES, including one new handset. But as far as Galaxy devices, this is the first time that they are confirming or not confirming some of the rumors that we've been hearing for months now. Winston, what did you think of the event?
Well, the event was very slick and much better than the previous Unpacked events. I like it. It's very Apple-like, but the presentation was really good. I thought it was bit more smoother, and it has guests and presenting what the actual devices can do. Had examples of footage and everything. So yeah, I'm really surprised and pleased with the event, how it went. So yeah,
as much as I'm not a huge fan of Apple overall, I do have to give props where props is due. Apple's events are extremely well polished, and that's just the way that their events are. This event, unfortunately, even though they had the big names like Ridley Scott and a few other very famous directors and producers on board, showing off the capabilities of their new handsets, the new Galaxy S23, which we'll talk about coming up very, very soon. And there's going to be 3 iterations of this phone, so stay tuned. It looked a little bit funny. And the reason why it looked a little bit funny was because even Apple knows that they shouldn't be using iPhones to film their events. Samsung took a very big risk. Their event actually was filmed completely on S23s and S23 Ultras throughout the stage and everything like that. The only funny thing that you might notice if you're watching the live stream or if you are watching the replay is that there were some artifacts in the audio that they probably had some sort of a sync issue happening, because you have to synchronize the audio from the S23s and also from the devices themselves. So it was expected that there would be some issues, but I think that overall they did a good job for the majority of people out there that probably wouldn't notice any quality degradation. But as for someone like me who actually notices these things, I knew that they were doing something different. I just couldn't figure out what it was until they told me at the head of the event that this whole thing was filmed on S23 Ultra, streaming to some sort of switchboard where they were doing all this stuff. I think that they were just trying to prove a point that this stuff does work. And it worked fine for the event, but there was just a little bit of quality that was lacking compared to an Apple event. But I'm glad that Samsung takes little risks like this. Apple typically will not.
Yeah, I mean, you got to give credit. I mean, it's actually the whole event was filmed using a mobile device. You got to think about that, right? And,
isn't that great?
that's good, because that's what kind of stuff that people do. Right? They take the mobile device and they start filming, they start streaming. You're going to get that quality issue anyway. But they're just saying that, this can be done. They don't going to get like pro cameras and this. Yes, fine if you want a full production, this and that. But it proves a point, right? That it can be done using a mobile device. And, go give it props. So, yeah, give it credit. Yeah, no
we've got a lot of tech to talk about here coming up. We've got the Galaxy S23 series. This is the first official outing. We know that on Twitter we've seen a lot of media personalities and influencers. They've already been flying with these phones after private briefings, so it's not like we didn't know that these were all coming. One thing that was kind of interesting was that we did see. I saw some photos of a Galaxy Fold device. I don't know if that was like a ruse or a teaser, but I did see a folded device. I'm not sure if that was the 5. But they didn't announce that today. That would probably be in the August event that they'll be announcing that. But let's talk about Galaxy S23 first. Right. This is the new series that includes 3 phones. And you'll notice something very telling about what happened to the Note. We'll talk about that coming up here. So let's talk about the S23 series overall. So first of all, S23 series will launch with the One UI 5.1, which is the latest version of their skin of Android. This is in collaboration with Google, and Google works very tightly with Galaxy now because they are one of the flagship providers doing a lot of R&D on their own. It'll also come with Android 13, the latest version, whichever shipping. One thing that Samsung has committed to, and this is with the cooperation of Android and Google is that they will be allowing 4 years of updates and up to 5 years of security updates, which is very compelling.
That's good.
Now, keep in mind though, these updates and everything like that, these may not be like every year they try to launch a new version of Android. So this is 4 years. So if they skip a year of updates, you might not get the third or the fourth update. So just FYI. And again, you shouldn't be buying hardware for the sake of software updates because they may or may not happen. Samsung may choose to change something. Google may choose to change something. So just bear that in mind. But this is a good step in the right direction. All of their new S23 series now have a brand new sensor on board that has a wider range of optical image stabilization, also known as OIS. So what that means is that if you're running across a field and you're trying to chase children or drones or cars or stuff like that, and they showed this off a lot in the live stream, and I do recommend that you watch it after we're done here with you to give you a little more context. It just allows the sensor to like move around all over the place. And I found that really interesting because even though they were able to increase the optical image stabilization effectiveness, the entire silhouette of all of the phones from the S23, S23 Plus, and the Ultra were all slimmed down, which was actually very interesting. They've improved all the photo capabilities, which we'll talk about more. One thing that was kind of funny to me is that they've allowed you to put filters in front and take the photo. I know that this is a feature, but they've actually touted this as a feature that they do now. I'm pretty sure that people have done this before. This is everything's running in one paradigm. One big deal for this event is that everything now runs on Qualcomm. So the Exynos processors are now out. Qualcomm 8 series Gen 2 is going to be running everything from this point on.
Snapdragon 8, right?
Snapdragon 8 series Gen 2. So that's on board. This is a processor with 8 cores, 1 main performance core, 4 mid-performance cores, and 3 low-energy cores to kind of keep things running. Every single Galaxy now will have a customizable lock screen, so you can change the size of the clock and everything on board. The wallpapers, everything, you can customize it completely. This is a function of One UI 5.1. This is the Android skin from Samsung, and it'll start to learn routines that you normally do. Like, for example, if you put in your Buds 2 Pro or your Buds 2, it'll tell you, and you always turn on these apps, it'll give you an option to turn on these apps. It's actually going to try to learn from you and make your life better, in a sense.
They focused on AI, I think, mostly in the presentation. I thought, well,
or machine learning.
Machine learning, AI. And this is something really interesting because now they've taken the AI, they put them into the photography stuff and things like that, and also like the skins and everything. So that's interesting. I like that. I like that approach. So what else?
And security and privacy are upgraded because now they're giving the device a little bit more leeway into warning you about security updates. There's always been a security privacy screen where you can test to see what your privacy security options are. Obviously, you don't want to allow unsigned apps to be loaded onto your phone unless you're expressly doing that. So it'll constantly warn you that you have this on, and in some cases, people don't even realize what it is, and they should be turning that off. Bunch of things on the photography side. Night photography was one of the things that Samsung has been touting and has been promoting because you see all the teasers. It's got the moon. It's got all these other things that are at night. So they've completely amped up the night photography. It's better than ever using AI, like you said, Winston. There, it helps to reduce the noise, preserving the skin tones, and also using machine learning and AI to visually capture prints of all of the things that you've taken photos of, and they're taking those prints and they've recognized things like glasses and purses and hair and everything like that to enhance those things out of the darkness, out of the noise, and bring those into sharper focus. So your pictures are actually going to pop. With the Samsung way of doing things. Of course, there is the expert RAW mode as well too, which is on all of the phones now, so that you can actually take those RAW files, put them into Lightroom, Adobe Lightroom, and tweak them yourself as well too. But the AI will help out if you want something that people will look at, and like they've been promoting throughout the whole thing, is that, hey, that's a photo I want to share right out of the camera.
Question. So it's got this expert RAW. Is that RAW file compatible with Apple Macs? Because you know what Apple users like. They like the RAW files, right? So is this a RAW file? It can be used in both, right, platforms?
Well, the only thing that I know is that it will work in Lightroom. which means that it should work in Lightroom on an Apple device.
Okay. That makes
So
sense.
it'll be cross compatible in that. The camera profiles for all Galaxy devices and iPhones as well too are inside Lightroom, so you can actually have phone specific adjustments for all of your photos right off the bat. So this is an expert feature. This is something for pros to use. A lot of people like the look of a phone camera shot, but they just want it enhanced. And it's just faster for workflows. A lot of influencers I know actually do that, but they take the extra step to tweak the photo. What they're trying to do here from all of the AI stuff is they're trying to democratize creation by allowing the AI to help some people that may not be such good photographers in the first place, but also but not only that, but maybe you have composition, but you don't know how to edit the photo. This gives you the ability to create something that actually looks wow. It looks like it's been touched up. And we've seen glimpses of this from Google because they actually had a mode, an accessibility mode last year when they were announcing the Pixel 7 series, or Pixel 7 or Pixel 6, where they were actually guiding people to a better photo through accessibility and voice prompts, right? And that's something that will help everyone take better pictures. So I think overall the level of pictures will just look better overall. And I think that's just a good thing. It'll just help creators get better because now they know that everyone is coming up as well too. And people that have a great story to tell, but they don't have the ability or knowledge to tell these things, Samsung is doing these wonderful AI things that I think will get people noticed that could otherwise tell a better story. They're just missing this little bit.
I've always compared pictures taken not just nighttime versus an Apple, iPhone.
Yeah.
I noticed the Samsung pictures are always like colors, the brightness, and everything just looks so, I don't know, better, I guess, with the photos.
It pops a little bit more. It's a Samsung look. Even Apple has a Samsung mode that they don't call it Samsung mode, but it's a mode that mimics the Samsung look. So I think that's pretty neat that they can allow that. And that's a post-processing thing. But, again, these things are available to everyone across the entire S23 line. And as soon as the One UI 5.1 update drops, there might actually be some trickle down to other devices in the lineup, like Google likes to do with previous generations. We might see some of this capability. They hadn't said anything, but they did mention the S22 coming down in price as well too. We might touch on that a little bit if you guys are still with us a little bit later on. So let's start with S23 and S23 Plus. These are basically the same phone with different size screens. So looking at the phones, let's go down the spec list and we'll go over the price at the end so that you have an idea of what value that you're getting. The S20, a 3,900 milliamp hour battery. It's pretty big. It's about 200 milliamp hour larger than last year's version of the S22. It's 7.6 millimeter thick. And it weighs about 168 grams, 6.1 inch full HD screen at 2340 by 1080. Dynamic AMOLED that runs from 48 to 20 hertz. This is something that Apple doesn't actually have either because they only run 90 hertz. They don't do 120 yet.
All right.
So there you go. The S23 also comes in 128, 256, and 512 gigabytes. Storage, the RAM on board is 8 gigabytes for all of these sizes. I know I don't like to say trick, but some of their storage options actually have different amounts of RAM. So that's something to be aware of. And we'll talk about that a little bit because it's important when we talk about the Ultra. The S23 Plus comes with a massive 4,700 milliamp hour battery, which is fantastic. So this seems like it's a big battery. It's going to be the sweet spot, I believe. 6.6 inch full HD screen with 2340 by 1080, same. A dynamic AMOLED with a 48 to 120 hertz screen. So what that means is that it's going to be smooth overall, but compared to, and we're going to talk about this a little bit, it can't refresh all the way down to 1 hertz, which will impact the battery life overall. I think this might be a design of the screen itself. I don't know.
I mean,
storage options.
48 hertz is fine. You drop it down.
It's fine. And most phones are 60 to start. So there you go. 256 and 512 gigabyte are the the storage options. There was no mention of a micro SD slot, and I believe that they've pretty much kind of gone away from that, which is, it's fair, right? I mean, that's not happening anymore, I guess. But no mention of that. Corning Gorilla Glass Victus 2 all around, and of course the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, which will include Bluetooth 5.3, Wi-Fi 6E, and 5G ultra wideband.
Yeah.
Now, on all of these devices, there's going to be a 50 megapixel main camera, which is fantastic. Previously, it was 48 megapixel. Before that, it was like 24. So it's moving up. We still have a 12 megapixel ultra wide dual pixel camera. F2.2 and 1.8 for the 50. And the telephoto is something that I feel that is something that I'm missing from my Galaxy Z Flip.
So 10 megapixel. How many optical zoom?
It's optical zoom 3x on my camera. Once I zoom, it turns into potato. So I try not to use it. I try just move my legs. So that's something I feel is missing from the Flip series. But again, size and flipping, there's a compromise there, right?
Yeah.
For some people, this sounds pretty good for taking pictures and overall use. They've also got a 12 megapixel front camera, which is great. F2.2 and dual pixel. And again, as I mentioned earlier, it's just totally refined. The chiseled hump that you noticed on the previous two generations is gone.
That's gone.
It's very flat. So I think they found some way to make the elements a lot flatter. Yeah. Again, it's rounded edges. It's actually not as angular as before. It almost reminds me of the previous generation phones where they were really rounded on the edges.
Oh, right.
So very interesting.
Tell us about the recording in 4K. Right.
Yeah. So all of the Samsung devices this year will have 4K Super HDR at 60 frames per second, and 12-bit dynamic range. Some of this stuff, like the Pro Video mode, is going to be great for creators as well too, and that's something that they were touting throughout the entire thing.
But also, it's 4K 60 frames both for the both front and back cameras, right?
I think for this particular spec, it's going to be for only the
front.
Ultra.
Okay. All right.
Right. Because there's one thing about the Ultra, we'll touch on that. The camera's slightly different.
Right.
But one thing that everyone will probably enjoy, I'm not sure if this is strictly a Ultra feature, but they did mention for filmmakers, there is a clean preview. So if you want to use it as a main camera for your shoot, you wanted to do something for social, when you plug in the HDMI onto the USB-C, it gives a clean HDMI, which with no interface, so that when people are looking at it, so if you're working with clients and they want to see a preview of what you're doing on the screen, they can see that wirelessly if you want to hook something like that up. And those mechanisms do exist.
Oh, great. So you can use that as a camera, screen. Like a preview.
Yeah, like a preview screen for your clients behind you while you're shooting and they're looking over your shoulder, which happens quite a bit in the commercial world. Very annoying. Sorry. That's one of the things I also found very interesting. And, like going through all the features and everything like that. One of the software features is that we do like using GIFs. You can create your own.
That's right.
You can also clean up someone else's. So it'll remaster a GIF and make it sharper than the original. And of course, everyone likes to take night photos once in a while. I know that there have been some really nice moons lately leading up to Chinese New Year. And if we didn't wish you that, happy Chinese New Year to everyone.
Yes.
We've already passed it. It was the 25th to the 22nd to the 5th.
Yeah, that's
right.
Yeah,
so we're still kind of in it.
It's a holiday week they have.
Right? Holiday week, right? So happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
And everything else looks pretty good.
Yeah, talk about night photography. I mean, I've seen loads of photos online shared as well and everything.
Yeah,
photos of the moon and the detail from just I don't know what version, probably S22, the previous version, but the detail on the moon is so good. I tried it on my iPhone, forget it. It does not work. But on the S, I think it was S22, the previous model, someone posted a photo of the moon and it looks so good.
Yeah, it's it has to do with that that pixel and the way they pixel bin everything through the through that sensor. So I guess we're moving on. before we leave the S23 and S23 Plus, they do come in black, green, cream, and lavender colors in case you're interested. The starting price of that phone, it's pre-order now. It's February 1st. It's pre-order now. Starts at $999 for the S23 Plus and $799 for the S23. It seems like if you're just a general user that wants to take photos, wants a smaller phone, the S23 is going to be a really great buy.
Yeah, I think so.
It's got everything that the S23 Plus has. And that's why they are stated together. However, if you do want more memory or more options for memory, or you only use 128 gigabytes and you load everything to the cloud, seems like, again, S23 seems like a really good buy. But everyone's wondering about the S23 Ultra.
Right.
So this one, of course, has a 5,000 milliamp hour battery.
Oh, that's massive.
It's a massive battery. It's also got a 6.8-inch QHD 3088 by 1440 dynamic AMOLED screen, 120 hertz. But this one has 1 to 120 hertz.
No, this one goes down to 1 hertz. Right.
So when it's not being used at all, so this is when it's in the lock screen mode and it's just showing you a little bit of information on that front screen. It basically is using no power. So bigger battery, more efficient screen, but higher resolution. So I think there's a balance to be made there.
Yeah.
Optimized for gaming, and they pushed this heavily because they had Faker, one of Korea's biggest esports stars, playing a game on one of their ads. It has vapor chamber cooling inside of it.
That's normally reserved for laptops, right? And
it
like
is
graphics
reserved for
card
laptops and also ROG phones.
Yeah, ROG phones, yeah.
I didn't quite get the specs on the sizing. I think they were hiding that somewhere.
It's
but
slightly bigger.
It's a fat phone.
Yeah, it's a little slightly fatter, thicker, but it's you get all those features, advanced features, so you'd expect, a little bit of compromise there. This is really for high-end users, right? Filmmakers and gamers and that kind of stuff. Okay, carry on.
Oh, yeah. One of the things that is very important is that it's got a 1750 nit brightness for outdoor visibility.
Nice.
So as far as filmmakers go, like most laptops go up to 500 or so. That's barely okay for outdoor use. 750 is basically your bare minimum for getting outside and being able to see what's on your screen. It's reflective as well too, so it's very important that it be able to react. However, even though it goes up to 1750 nits, the adaptive brightness now goes to 3 levels. Like you'll notice sometimes on your phone when you set it, it's like either on or off. There's no really great levels. This one has 3 levels in, like in granularity, it goes to 3 levels. So it's going to be more efficient. Now, this is where I was talking about that issue with RAM. Right. So on this particular device, and I hate that they do this because they've done it to their tablets in the past. So their Galaxy tabs do this as well too. And this is very confusing for users, is that there's an 256 gigabyte storage model that has 2 RAM options. You can either get it with 8 gigabytes, which is fine for most phones. Don't get me wrong. Even the S23 has only 8 gigabytes. But if you want 12 gigabytes, you need to get another SKU of the 256. So there's 2 SKUs for the 256.
Right. So you have 8 gigabytes model, and then you have another 12 gigabytes model, which probably costs more. And that gives you even more storage options.
Yes. So if you see it at a really good deal, double check to make sure this is the 12 that you're getting, not the 8.
So we have to tell users that the 8 gigabytes of RAM is actual system RAM. That's the phone RAM that they use for apps and other things like that, right? The storage is separate. So you got to think about the storage. Like, for example, you take a photo, that stores in the storage.
That's right.
If you take a video, that's in storage. So separate the storage RAM from the system RAM.
Yeah. So even though 8 gigabytes of RAM is plenty, it's important to know that there is this distinction that the 12 gigabyte will likely last you a few more years, all the way up till 4 or 5 years. There have been tests done, including from our friend MKBHD. He actually did a review of a phone that was $159, and he actually did a hot take on this, saying that, hey, you know what? A flagship phone with many, many more years of updates is better than a cheap phone. And he proved that this was true because he took this $159 phone that was using some quad media chip inside, brand new phone out of the box, could not outperform a OnePlus 7 Pro, which was like a 4-year-old phone. So today's $159 phone is not as good as a $799 phone 4 years ago.
It's because of the software updates, right? The software optimizes the system, operating system, including how things are written on memory and storage and things like that. So yeah, it will improve performance with software updates. So that's something that you're trying to emphasize, right?
Well, no.
Both
the OnePlus 7T, OnePlus 7 Pro had the latest Android updates. It was just released. It is equal.
Right.
So software the same. The hardware in a $159 phone today is inferior to a 4-year-old phone.
Why is that though?
Way faster. It's built better too. It's a flagship.
So you're saying a flagship phone with more RAM, better storage,
processor, better build is better than a $159 phone today. So you could buy four phones. You could buy like a $159 phone for every year for 4 years. You would be wasting resources,
right,
and everything to get an inferior phone. You might as well start with something good.
So something like what you said before. You buy good so that you don't waste money.
Buy it nice or buy it twice. And in this case, you buy it 4 times, right? Will the $159 phone last? Sure, maybe. But I believe that, if you do any sort of heavy lifting with your phone, it's going to be a horrible experience right out of the box. And it's going to be a phone that you replace every 2 years. I understand that there's some people that don't use their phone to their ultimate capacity or even close to that, in which case software updates, buying a new phone every year, it might be better for them to do that, or they break phones, right? They're just not good with phones and buying cheaper phones might be for them. And there was this little Twitter argument I had with this one guy, and he admitted he was just being pedantic. I understand that, not everyone can afford a phone this expensive out of the box at that price, right? Flagships cost anywhere between, at least OnePlus gives their flagships a reasonable price of $799 or so, and they last. But there's also a used market. You can buy a phone for 30 to 40% off that's still a flagship that will get another 3-4 years of updates.
That's true.
You're going to have a better experience. And it was proven in that MKBHD review of a brand new phone today against a 4-year-old phone. And I own that phone. It's still good.
Okay.
That phone's still good, right? It's still a decent phone. I actually can use it as my back. It is my backup phone.
So it's always good to have I would say used secondhand, but an older model as a backup phone. So
the phone's fine. It's stable. It does what I need it to do. It's not a big deal, right? So, there you go. So
what about the camera?
Just so you know.
What about the camera? So they got improved cameras on this. Tell us more.
Yep. So with improved cameras, you have to take bigger pictures, and of course, with that 12 gigabyte RAM, we talked about the 256, but there's also a 512 and now a 1 terabyte version of that phone for more money, of course, for every step. And you're going to be stuffing it with for files from a 12 megapixel dual pixel f2.2 front camera.
Right.
Now, this is interesting, and this is why I had to talk about this separately. There is also on the front camera a 10 megapixel 2.4 dual pixel front telephoto lens built into this. So it's 3x.
3x optical. Okay, good.
Yeah. So, but on the back, so there's 2 cameras in the front. Now there's 3 cameras in the back. So let's talk about the 12 megapixel 0.2 dual pixel ultra wide also on the back. And you also have the massive 200 megapixel f1.7 super quad pixel wide
super quad
camera. Yeah. Now, here's where we get to some of the extra processing that is not available in the other cameras because there's just not enough pixels. So they're in certain modes where night modes are very important. It'll take some of the pixels of that 200 megapixels. It'll gang them up to collect more light and turn it into a 50 megapixel camera.
What? Is that all done via AI, or is it just one of those stuff that
I think it's software and AI together to figure out how much light you have, and then gang these pixels together to give you a better, brighter, more detailed, lower noise image.
Is that something that it's, I won't say only available on Samsung, but Samsung were, among probably the first to kind of develop this, right? You won't see
Samsung's done it before. I think it was on the other camera a couple one or two gen back where they tried to do something like this, but this is just a refinement of the whole process. And even professional cameras, like if some of them actually will use quad pixels, they use a very high it's basically on all the time. So even though a 50 megapixel camera is what you get on paper, it might actually have more pixels than that. So it'll start ganging pixels together. It bends itself to figure out.
I really didn't know that.
They tried to explain it, and I'm like, okay, well, I understand that bigger pixels collect more light. Just like, for example, there's a Sony cinema camera, the FX3. It only has a 24 megapixel sensor. And their photo cameras have 50 megapixel sensors, 48 megapixel sensors. So even though that camera has 48 megapixel, it has lesser quality and low light because it's noisier. The 24 megapixels are actually bigger pixels, so it collects more light. So it actually uses a trick where it takes a group of pixels and collects more light together to give you a better image. So it's a hardware solution versus a software solution that tries to clean things up. So in this sense, it's actually superior to anything software related, because in some cases, and again, this is AI and software trying to figure it out, it might do something wrong.
Yeah.
It might turn something into mush, and it won't even know it.
Right. But you won't see this on an Apple iPhone. No, this
not
is
right now.
Not yet. Not yet.
Not until they reinvent it. Once they reinvent it, it'll be like new.
Yeah, we invented this.
That's okay. Right. Now let's talk about the moonshot.
Yeah, tell us.
We were looking at all these teasers that says, "Ooh, moon! Oh, I can see the planet." They used to call this the moon camera. Some people call it the peep show camera because it would take like 30x photos or something like that. This one does 10x, and it's a 10 megapixel f4.9 dual pixel telephoto lens at 10x. So it's completely optical.
Right. Oh, 10 times optical.
Yeah, 10 times optical. Okay, on a little tiny camera. So it sounds like it's a moving element inside this little tiny chassis that does something, it makes it.
I tell you what, it's not even a phone; crazy. It's a camera.
It is a camera. Actually, they built it as a camera, and the way that they treated it in some of the promo material, even Ridley Scott said, "This is a tool. This is a tool for us to do all these things in these tight spots where we have to film these things, and these horses." It's a tool, right? And it was good enough for them in the video nightography mode because they were doing very low light filming, that it looked good to even Sir Ridley Scott.
So that's definitely. I mean, some of the stuff that I've seen, the video as well as the photos they've taken is just amazing. I mean,
so they've come a long way. And you remember that there used to be this weird pixelated green tinge with some of the early phone videos that you see out there.
Yeah, I heard about that.
It's not there anymore. It's a lot more clean. It's better. And, this will be compatible with a lot of the, eventually they'll probably be compatible with Filmic Pro. This phone's really new, but Filmic Pro is like one of the standards for being able to control all of the settings. There is a pro video mode and a pro photo mode that allows you to control that as well too. So it almost seems that like Samsung is building those features in natively, taking a little bit of market share away from Filmic Pro, but still Filmic Pro has its benefits as well too. Yeah. But they're just trying to build a lot of these features in so that creators can get going right away. Now, one thing that we touched on, actually, no, let's not talk about that yet. Let's talk about the fact that this also shoots 8K at 30 frames per second.
8K.
Yep.
On the phone.
On the phone. So it'll do it. Do you need it? Probably not, but it will do it. Yes.
Imagine the amount of storage you need, though. That's
why it comes in 1 terabyte. Yeah. And also, you're going to need a lot of light for that because I don't know what the capabilities of this 8K 30 frames per second is. But if it's shooting it off the 200 megapixel sensor, it's going to take a lot of processing. And that's why it has that heat pipe, the vapor chamber.
Right.
It's going to get hot. Of course, like the other phones, and I didn't mention this, but this is the same across the board. It's got Bluetooth 5.3, Wi-Fi 6E, all standard, all built into the Qualcomm chip, and of course 5G ultra wide band. Now, Samsung hasn't talked about the Note series for quite some time now. They've also increased the number of tablets that they have available for people who like big devices.
Yeah.
So it looks like this particular phone will end the Note series because it has an S Pen built right in.
Oh, so the Ultra has the S Pen as well included.
Yeah, it tucks right inside just like the Note did.
All right. So you can probably take this as a Note, but now is an S23 Ultra.
Yes, it's a notable moment.
Okay.
For the Samsung series, it is done. It looks like so. I guess moving forward, we won't see any more notes. But they like in the last year, they announced 2 7-inch tablets, 6-inch, 7-inch tablets. They're quite small, and they updated all the software. They revised them all. So I think they're trying to get people that love the Note, and these are all tablets on the tablets, right?
But then,
and these are tablets that have styluses with them.
But the tablets, these ones, do they have the cellular connectivity and everything as well?
A couple of them do. They have a 5G version and an LTE version as well.
So you can make calls and go on the internet and stuff like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also, too, if you're carrying your phone with you at the same time anyway, and you have your tablet with you, because there is the Samsung Flow, I think, is what they call their multi-device control protocol. When you open up your tablet, it'll automatically take the connection from your phone.
Right. So like a hotspot share.
It'll hotspot your phone immediately. Again, battery life will go down on your phone.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about all these Samsung Ultra 23 phones. Do they still have that, what do you call it? The wireless charging, Qi charging share? Like you share your power?
You know what? They do actually. This was something that was kind of hidden in the literature, but it does have all the fast charging 2.0 capabilities. So it's charging at way over 25 watts and everything wirelessly. It'll charge quickly. There were no specs on this. I think they weren't ready with that, but it'll charge super fast with a 65-watt charger from the wall. Right. It'll do all of that. I think you're looking at charging times for an hour or under.
Right. So super fast charge and
really fast
using the USB-C, right? That's the
USB-C. Okay. And also wireless charging on the back, 25 watts is all these pads can give you anyway. So it's going to take advantage of that. So even though it's a big phone with a 5,000 milliamp hour battery, it's going to get up there quickly for you so that you can get on with your filming. And again, because of the way that we saw the film from the behind the scenes from the films, it looks like they were running off of the USB power anyway with power banks. So it looks like it takes a charge fairly quickly no matter what, as long as you're on the Qualcomm Quick Charge 3.0 protocols, the power delivery protocols, it'll charge very fast. So battery life, hopefully it's not an issue, but like I don't have one to test. So hopefully we see some of our friends out there doing the rundown tests while they're hanging out all day inside the house. And I don't enjoy that test. So that's good work that some people are doing for us.
Right. Price-wise, what's the...
Price-wise? Yeah. So it starts at $11.99, and this is for the 8 gigabyte RAM, 256 gigabyte version. Right. Okay. So this is like the version that you may want to steer away from unless you want the look, but you don't want the performance. It's like basically the initial D, the Hachi Go is like the car that looks like the Hachi Roku, but it's not a Hachi Roku. It's the cheap version that has the shitty engine. So it's not that bad. Like 8 gigabytes is more than enough. And if you're just someone that wants a bigger screen, notations and everything like that, it still has Bluetooth 5.3, Wi-Fi 6E, 5G ultra wideband. It has everything. It's just when you start to multitask it, or when you want to use DeX, then this is the desktop environment. And they didn't talk about this. I think they're trying to make it go away. I like DeX. I think it's great. Yeah. But when you plug this into a dongle that gives you HDMI and you attach a keyboard and a mouse to it,
it turns into a mini computer, right?
Mini desktop. The 8 gigabyte might limit you based on the number of tabs that you can have on the screen or applications. So that's the only reason why I would steer away from that.
Tell me, if you're going to go for the 12 gigabyte version, full on 1 terabyte, what's the expected price it'll go up to? What do you think?
I didn't see it, but my guess is it's almost 1,500 grand.
1,500?
18, 15, 18, something like that.
Okay. But
there might be promos. So keep that in mind. There might be promos happening.
Get some vouchers.
Trade-ins. If you sign up for the Samsung event, there is a $100 credit that is immediately applied to your purchase of any of the devices spoken about here.
Oh, nice.
Speaking of devices, we got to move on because we have more Galaxy devices to talk about.
This is interesting.
Yes, because I thought when they talked about this thing after talking about all the Ultras and everything like that, I thought they were coming out with a Qualcomm powered laptop. No, it wasn't a Qualcomm Tower laptop. They were just fooling us. No, they are Windows 11 Intel powered machines. So they all support that continuity feature. So phone, drag and drop files onto your desktop, and then using your tablet as a second screen. All things that Samsung did that wasn't as cool as the Apple version of it.
Do you know what? I think they didn't go with the ARM processor from Qualcomm because they wanted to run Windows 11, right? Still, they've included something, which you don't see on Apple or any other devices. NVIDIA's GeForce RTX 4070 mobile GPU. Come on, man. That's like, whoa. I'm only running a 3090. This thing has got 40 series RTX in there, right?
Yeah.
It's going to kick some butt for sure.
Which one? Which SKU? See, this is the whole NVIDIA kind of walk it back. Like, I don't know which SKU this is. Maybe it's an MX. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's this version. Maybe it's not. I'm cautiously, I know it's there. I know it will accelerate the apps. I just don't know how well it will be because check it out. I mean, the Galaxy Book Ultra is slim. It's got an aluminum casing with high amounts of recycled materials, aluminum that can be recycled, glass and stuff like that, and plastics. It's 16.5 millimeters thick, 1.79 kilograms. That's about 3.9 pounds.
That's really lightweight.
It's really lightweight. It's also 16-inch. 120 hertz dynamic AMOLED. This is basically it's shooting right across the bow of the new Mac Pro M2s, which we'll talk about in another podcast. We still have to talk about those new announcements, so you'll hear from us a little bit later on that. 2880 by 1800 resolution. It's not 4K. It is 3K. 16 by 10 aspect ratio with 300 nits of peak brightness. So this is just it's barely okay to get outside, right? 500 is about minimum. But it does have HDMI 2.0. It has Thunderbolt 4 times 2 with USB Type-C. So these ports should theoretically be able to power a dock as well as external GPU if you need the extra power. It has a USB-A port because some things still use it. Like every single USB drive forever uses this port. So you need it, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it also has a micro SD card slot on board. Now, nice. Micro SD, I hopefully this is a typo because micro SD is kind of useless. We want the full size card.
Yeah,
right.
A lot of photographers and cameras use full size SD cards. Yeah,
I know. So where did this come from? Maybe it's a size limitation, but I think it's patently basically useless. However, it does have a headphone mic jack, which is a combo jack, and thank you very much, full HD 1080p webcam. Okay, so that's inside. Again, we talked about this. It's got 13th gen Intel Core i7 or i9 processors as options. Now, we know that these processors are fairly power hungry. They're not the same as the M series from Apple. No. You've got your choice of a 4050 or a 4070 GPU and your choice of 16 or 32 gigabytes. Get the most RAM you can afford because you can't put it back in.
That's right.
Now, having said that though, you can get your choice of 520 gigabytes or 1 terabyte. There isn't an extra expansion slot inside this. So you could go with the cheaper 512 if available at a really awesome price and put in your own external purchased off Amazon.
I've seen a lot of users now upgrading their storage from 1 terabyte to 2 terabytes.
Yep.
To 2 terabytes and 4 terabytes capacity. The price is coming down. So there's an option there for you guys.
Yeah, and the AKG quad speakers will make it sound really good. They were showing off this guy actually playing a game with the quad speakers while yelling at. So the studio quality dual mics actually have noise cancellation that will actually pick up your sound, your voice. So I don't know how it. I think it was a really silly demo because you know that you should be wearing headphones.
Yeah, of course.
And a mic, right? So I think it was. I think someone thought that it looked better on paper and they decided to film it anyway. But we know that probably doesn't work very well. So there will be noise issues. People will be picking up your audio. There might even be feedback in some other people's. Just don't do it. 100-watt USB Type-C adapter is included in the box, and that's what it uses. So you could use a GAN charger if you wanted to. So something smaller. I don't know how big this one is. So, let's just see how big it is when it comes out of the box. I didn't see a picture of it. And the starting price, well, we're probably going to have to be looking at $21.99 US, but this is only going to be your 16 gigabyte
Version.
RTX 4050 with the Core i7 version.
Wow. So with the higher
so it's a lot.
spec, it's going to be cost even more.
It's probably going to be like almost $3,000. Or it depends, right? Depends on the promos. There's lots of promos going on here, so don't take my word for it right now. Maybe the cheaper ones are artificially higher priced to get people to move into the higher end ones. Who knows?
Yeah. The only thing I don't like about this is the battery size. It's only 76 kilowatt, right?
It's quite small.
76 watts. So
yeah, it's watt hour is quite small. I don't know what the overall system draw is, but I'm concerned as well too that maybe with the huge resolution screen, it's dynamic AMOLED, so maybe it does have the ability to ramp down enough that we don't notice it, but it's also fairly thin. And with an RTX, and this is where I'm like, maybe they used a lower powered 4070 or 4050.
Probably, yeah.
Because there's no way. There's no way, okay? If you want this, you can either choose a girlfriend or you can choose this laptop. Pre-orders February 14th.
Oh, okay. 14th, there you go.
For Valentine's Day. Yay. You buy it for yourself. So this is your new girlfriend.
Next up is the non-Ultra version.
Yeah, right? So this is the more affordable version.
Okay.
And I think that a lot of people will probably take this one around because it is very decent for the spec and everything like that. And of course, one of the specs is the fact that it does also have the same Thunderbolt 4x2 with USB Type-C. That means that you can run an external GPU or docking station. So if you don't need to have a NVIDIA GPU on the road with you, don't. Save battery life. Comes in the 14 and 16-inch version. The 14-inch version is 1.17 kilograms.
Wow.
Which is a lot. It's very light.
It's a bag of sugar.
Yes. And also it's 11.3 millimeters thick. So it's very, very thin. The 16-inch version is 12.5 millimeters thick, just 1 millimeter thicker at 1.576 kilograms. So both of them very light. Same screen resolution at 2880 by 1800 with a 16 by 10 aspect ratio, 120 hertz refresh, just like the Ultra. HDMI 2.0. Again, we also had the Thunderbolt 4 ports that we talked about, USB-A port, and unfortunately a micro SD slot. I don't want a micro SD slot in any, that's not professional, right? You need the larger slot. You can use adapters to bring it down in size, but give us the option of the bigger one. Unfortunately, even the MacBooks have the larger slot. Just so you know. Headphone mic jack combo, full HD 1080p webcam so that you get better Zoom calls. You're stepping down in the processor. You have i7 or i5. You also have Iris Xe, so no more NVIDIA GPU choices.
This is the Intel's own integrated GPU.
Iris, yes.
Right.
It's still supported by Creative Suites in some capacity. I know that Adobe supports it and does offer some acceleration, but nowhere near the amount that you're going to get from with the NVIDIA
hardware.
And you're not playing games on this one, of course, right? You're getting lower frame rates. Most of the time when you see Xe benchmarked, it's at HD resolution only. This is 3K. You're not going to be getting 3K resolution on this. You have your choice of 8, 16, and 32 gigabytes of LPDDR5 RAM. You also have 256, 512, and 1 terabyte storage options. This is where you actually have to decide right away how much storage you need because there is no expansion slot.
Right.
Okay.
It's almost like the MacBook Air, right? Because there's very limited upgrade options. You have to get the highest end if you're going to go for the big thing, right? So okay.
And of course, Wi-Fi 6E, Bluetooth 5.1, not 5.3, same AKG quad speakers. The microphone, I believe, is also the same as the other one. In terms of battery life, 14-inch has 63 watt hour, and the 16-inch has 76, same as the other 16-inch. So you're going to get better battery performance out of this one. If battery life is important, get this one. Or the 14. Looks great. 65 watt USB Type-C adapter is included, so it uses a lot less power. So you can see that 35 watt difference in the power adapter without the GPU. It makes a big difference. In terms of pricing, you're looking at a fully equipped 14-inch version.
Right.
That's going to have 8 gigabytes of RAM with the i5. It's going to be $1,249.
$2,499.
They're not cheap. They're not cheap at all.
Okay.
So that's basically with 256, right? So that's not cheap, right?
So if you go for something a little bit better, you're looking at 1,700, probably around there.
No, this is still $100 less than any MacBook, though.
Oh, true. True.
right? So you're still at this price point, still good. Now, the more interesting one for creators, it's going to be the Book3 Pro 360.
Okay.
Now, this is a tablet version which folds into tent mode
So-
and also tablet mode.
Right, so it's got 2.2-in-1, I should say.
2-in-1.
Yeah.
It has the S Pen low latency. It's 12.8 millimeters thick, so it is actually thicker than the Ultra.
Mm-hmm.
So no, actually, it's not. It's actually 4 millimeters less thick, but thicker than both versions of
the
the
Pro.
middle version,
The MacBook
of the Pro.
the Book Pro, yeah, the Galaxy.
That's
Book
right.
Pro.
Okay. It weighs about 1.66 kilograms. There is a 5G modem option, which weighs, this is weird, but it weighs a full 0.05 kilograms more for 5G. So there's got to be something inside that's taking, antennas and also the radio. That makes sense.
That makes sense, yeah.
Okay, so same 16 by 10, 120 hertz. All the ports are the same, including that silly micro SD slot, headphone jack, full HD cam, but same options of the CPU and also graphics.
Essentially, a Galaxy Book3 Pro, but in a tablet version. That's basically
with an S Pen and also $13.99 to start.
$13.99, it's a little bit more. Okay,
$150 more for the flippy screen and the S Pen.
Okay,
basically, right, in a larger size to start.
They
so
do,
not that bad.
They do look nice. I mean, they pulled it out from the presentation, and it looked nice.
Yeah.
Will I use it? Well, depends.
I you know what? I'm still a Dell XPS guy. If I buy another laptop, it might still be that.
Yeah, XPS is nice. I like that.
XPS is like the standard bearer, so I might still go for that.
Yeah.
I am due for an upgrade. So what do you think? Like, I mean, we've got three here. We got three options here. Like you said, spendy, pricey, but works inside the Samsung ecosystem. Promotions are going on right now because no one buys at full retail with these guys.
Yeah.
So you get $100 off when you have already signed up. So you get $100 off immediately. Yeah. So all these prices are 100 less. I mean, trade-ins.
I think Samsung's trying to produce these laptops in direct competition, direct competitor to the MacBook Pro, right, and the MacBook Air.
Sure. Definitely.
However, with Samsung laptops, you don't get that premium quality that you get from an Apple MacBook, right? So, the pricing I think could be a little bit better. And
$100 isn't enough.
Yeah, and also you need probably don't give them too many RAM and storage options. Just give them two, right? Just give them the 16
or 32.
Yeah, and 32.
I mean, who uses 8 these days, right?
Yeah, nobody uses 8. And then the storage options should be at least just 1 terabyte, 512, 1 terabyte. That's
512 and 112 terabyte. I agree with because I mean, you need that anyway. I mean, 256 doesn't hold anything these days. Right? Exactly, it's kind of silly, right? Yeah. Maybe a business SKU, but don't give it to the general public, right? This is very confusing.
Exactly. And if you're using an Intel processor, beef up the battery, boys. You need to beef up those batteries.
My God. Like this isn't, I mean, they've made it so thin that this battery is going to, don't get me wrong, it's still Intel Evo spec, so it should last for 9 to 10 hours.
Should.
But in testing, even the Microsoft Surface Pro 10, where are they, 9 or 10 now? I had that one. I used it. There was no freaking way I could get through the day with it. I had to charge it in by 3 o'clock.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
No way. I like the touchpad. I like the using it and everything. But
however, same spec, but with a different processor. If they chose an ARM processor, I think they'll be perfect. Right?
Still,
but
there's
with
a
an
Windows
Intel
issue,
processor,
right? Yeah. Windows does not run properly.
Yeah, Windows don't run on ARM processors, by the way.
No, so they're still screwed with that that legacy here. But good effort. I think every year they get just a little bit better. Will I be buying one of these this year? Heck, you know what? I am due for a laptop, but not at this price. No, I feel very strongly that this just isn't enough for me, even though I have a watch, even though I have a flip.
Hey, Stephen. I've got an Asus, right? Gaming laptop with a RTX 3060. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not the MX version. It's not the cheaper version of the GeForce, right? Standard RTX 3060 mobile. 16 gigs of 32 gigabytes of RAM.
Yeah.
1 terabyte storage. I think it's a 14-inch screen and everything. I got this as a Ryzen a Ryzen 9 processor in there,
Yep.
right? And
Yep.
I got it for 1900. That was
Canadian?
2 years ago.
Canadian.
Canadian. Yeah.
So even at its best price, you're paying a good $400-$500 premium for one of these.
Yeah, you're paying a little bit more
At
for
the same
this.
spec. At the same spec. You're basically Book3 Ultra 16-inch with 32 with 1 terabyte, and you're going to be paying
I think you're paying
US.
for the slimness and the lightweightness, you know, for this, you know, that's what you're paying for.
Yeah. Like my Dell XPS has a 960M inside. I am due for an upgrade.
Right.
So I am due, but maybe not at this price. I'm gonna keep looking. Unless they do like a really competitive trade-in. I'm like, here, take my laptop, take it and go. If they give me $500 off,
refurbished,
yes.
And then not refurbished, just trade it in.
Yeah, I'll trade in one that doesn't even work. I don't need a trade-in. I just need a trade-in bonus. That might help out. Well, I'll have to check it out, right? They didn't mention anything about that. So usually in certain regions of the world, check the offers available to you, especially if you're already a Samsung customer. They might offer you something better for that. And if your mobile carriers also have these laptops, I know some of them do, they sell them. They might be able to do a promotion for you where you trade in something else, because some of them do that. So if you are really interested in investing in the entire Samsung ecosystem and you really want one of their laptops, don't pay full retail, and make sure that you have that coupon code for 100 to start. Get your trade-in bonuses, get whatever bonuses that you can get from the retailer before you buy it. It's going to be spendy, and they know it. However, they do offer 0% financing.
That's true.
Which is very,
to definitely check out some deals. Out there for sure.
Yeah.
Right. One more thing. I think during the presentation they did a slight, maybe 1 or 2, like less than a minute actually, of
seconds.
Seconds actually.
Yeah.
They put this the Samsung Galaxy S23 series phone onto like a dock or like a charging dock or something. I can't remember what it is.
I think it might be an HDMI dock.
And it's it turns into a hub, which then you can control smart devices in your home. So tell us a little bit more of that if you know anything about it.
Well, SmartThings is Samsung's. It's basically Samsung's home automation setup. They have Bixby, they have SmartThings. They really should be changing over to Google.
Oh, so similar to Google's home devices,
Alexa,
right? Alexa and stuff like that, but it's their own. Okay,
it's their own.
And how does it work, or how does it compare? Do you think?
Well, it doesn't matter anymore because everything now works on Matter. So they basically took the few seconds to tell us that everything now runs on Matter, which means that, you know, Alexa and Siri will talk together and everything will be happy and cohesive in this ecosystem now. Okay. So I wish them luck with that. I know that we're at revision 1 right now, so it remains to be seen how well everything works together. But basically, once it's registered into SmartThings, you should be able to see your Apple device. You should be able to see all your devices and control them from your Philips Hue to whatever else. The demonstration that they offered there was that the S23 could be turned into an entertainment device. So plugged into this dock, it would actually allow you to control 2 of their small Pico projectors, the ones that point up in the ceiling. Okay. When you aim them, you can actually take advantage of both of them, the power of both, to shine the light onto a wall and turn it into a television screen.
Like
that's all they were really talking about.
Like a widescreen projector type of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like a dual widescreen setup where the power of both projectors projecting together creates part of the picture each.
And then it's also able to control the lights and I'm not sure the TV, whatever, but
same as Google Home, same as Siri, same as Alexa, right? It's just their version of it. One thing that is useful for Samsung owners is that all your Find My stuff is inside that app. So you can actually find things around the house, like my keys and everything. I have a few Samsung smart tags. They were on sale there in Christmas when they were like 2 for $25. So, hey, you know what? That sounded like a good deal. So I put most of my other stuff that used to be on tile onto those because they're also ultra wideband. And so you can actually find them up, down, inside the couch and everything like that. So they're better, but they are trying to build out their ecosystem as well too. And this is one way that they can do it, because once it's in Matter and Matter recognizes everything, it makes the net bigger.
I think Samsung could spend more R&D and kind of invest in that area, because that's something that would probably take them to the next level, because if you look at Apple, they haven't got any of the home connected stuff, right? Not that great. And then Google has just got the Google stuff, and Amazon, whatever, just Amazon stuff. But then if you got the whole ecosystem, the Galaxy, the phones, the tablets, the whole connected devices, plus you have your home automation as well on that. So I think it will then definitely project them to, where it's going to be really good to have everything all connected, working together.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. I think that Matter will help everyone kind of play better, nicer together, because everyone's using a different protocol right now. Matter links everything together. And in the very near future, we're talking about before the end of the year, they're going to be releasing these Matter hubs. Yeah. So everyone will probably have a version of it where they plug into their network, and then this device will become a translator for Alexa, Siri, Wi-Fi, and then everything will go into this central, either, I don't know how they're going to do it, but either it's a central app or a central branded app or something where everything just works together. So my Google Wi-Fi connected stuff will connect to my Alexa stuff, It doesn't matter which ecosystem you're in. Everything talks to one another. So you can I could buy Siri stuff. Yeah. It would work. I could buy HomeKit stuff. It would work.
I think it's a protocol layer that they have. And they could just hook up and it will just talk to each other.
Yeah, eventually it'll all be native Matter, which will be fantastic. But having the hub in there, like a Zigbee hub, like, like it helps everything kind of make that transition, because you're not losing your devices. Like, I mean, imagine someone that has 100 light bulbs inside their house, like me, and then losing the ability to actually control them would suck. So. Food for thought there. And I think this is a good, smart move and an environmentally friendly move in the right direction for everyone. And it's going to benefit the entire ecosystem, everyone's ecosystem. It doesn't matter if it's Apple or whatever. Everything is just going to play together nicer. And then that's going to increase adoption, because now you have people willing to buy any light bulb off the shelf, whether it's on clearance or whatever, and plugging it into their system and having a good time with it.
True. Yeah. So, Samsung Unpacked. This is the first one of the year. When's the next one?
Next one is going to be sometime in August. That's when I usually buy my new phones. Maybe not this year.
Hey, so your contract's finished.
We'll see. We'll see. Their trade-in values are getting a lot less lucrative. Maybe it was just a temporary promo to get people into foldable devices. Who knows? Right. But I'm in. I love my Galaxy Z Flip 4. It's fantastic. I don't know what they're going to do for the 5. It's going to be very interesting. Yeah. And it's probably going to take a lot more convincing this time, because the 4 is just so good.
It's so good.
It's very good. It's very good.
I might be interested in the Flip 5. The S3 to S23 though, very nice phones.
Very nice phone.
Right now, I don't think I need one yet, but for people who are on the old S10s and the S20s, maybe
anyone on an S10, oh my God, this is going to be
it's going to blow your mind, right?
It's going to blow your mind.
Yeah. All right.
And on that note, thank you so much for joining us this week.
Thank you.
My goodness, we are heading into season 4, and this is the first episode that kind of it's kind of like Doctor Who, where you have to have that special that bridges into the next season. So this is our Doctor Who not Christmas special, Chinese New Year special, Lunar New Year special, where we are bridging into the next season 4, which is very unlucky, but in this case, we're going to make it work.
Oh yeah.
And of course, and we wouldn't be here without our listeners who appear to go up every single week. We are well over 150 subscribers. Thank you so much for being there for us. Oh my God. We appreciate every one of you. And we hope that you will start commenting to us, because we want to do more shows that are actually good for you, right? Yeah. And we can't figure that out unless you tell us that the show is good, it's bad, it's or maybe you need a little bit more of this.
Some recommendations or any comments, any topics that you want to discuss or whether you want us to cover, for sure. I mean, I noticed lately there's been some amazing TV shows, including The Last of Us. That is amazing. Have you seen that, Stephen, yet? Have you seen?
I haven't watched it yet.
Go and watch it.
Reviews.
Go and watch it. It's if you play the game, you'll love this, right? And
I've been watching Quantum Leap. And we had that conversation last year, so maybe it's time for us to talk about that again.
Some TV shows, I think that we can talk about. So
there'll be an upcoming episode, and I hope you guys think that's a good idea. If it's not, please let us know in the comments. That's where we look. Or of course, you can find me on Instagram at Stephen Fung, or on the Twitter universe, multiverse. At Stephen Fung as well too, where you can connect with me, talk to me about ideas, DM me, just let me know what me and Winston should do for our next shows or what topics that we haven't covered. Obviously, we haven't heard a lot from everyone. I know that our comments sometimes are a little bit bare on certain topics, so if there is something that sparks your interest, ask. Please comment. Winston, how can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Winston Jim, mostly lifestyle stuff and other things, foodies and kind of, that kind of the lifestyle stuff. Or you can find me on Twitter as well at Winston Jim. That's, Elon's toy.
All right. Well, stay tuned for our next episode next Wednesday at noon. Sure. Where this one's going to be a little bit late today, but we're going to be back on track with noon hour episodes, hopefully starting soon. And if we do have to miss that time, we will let you know on our social or also on our community bulletin board or in the comments of any of our shows, or we'll just tell you straight out because we like to communicate with you. All right. This is Stephen and Winston signing off. See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.